We just got our final look at The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom with the last big trailer, and it showed so much throughout this trailer. Things that you saw, things that you didn't see, and just lots of little details all in between that you probably missed. So today I conjured up a list of, yes, 91, a whopping 91 new interesting things that they showed that I want to talk about with you guys today. And of course, with 91 things, we're going to be going through this very fast. So obviously this video was a lot of work, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Tears of the Kingdom and Zelda in general. We can see in the very beginning on the Sky Islands, there's a zonai construct fighting a choo-choo, and there's another one chopping down a tree. As Link falls through the Sky Islands, you can once again see that giant structure, which seems to have some type of arena at the top of it with stairs. Maybe it's some type of training grounds or battle arena for Link to train when he first wakes up in this game. Once again, lots of the overworld seems to be the same, just with tons of structures and pieces of rock and debris that fell down from the Sky Islands. Now there's some stuff we can talk about in the background like Kakariko Village, but we'll get into that in a second. You can also see another giant symbol in the wooded tree area to the right here. We get a new look at Hateno Village, and this time it's full of different colored mushrooms. Now, I'm not sure what this is about. I know we get to go underground this time, so maybe that has something to do with it. Now that there's underground portions, there's new mushrooms for us to collect, and like maybe someone opens up a mushroom shop, and I don't know why they're all over the town, but there's also some people wearing mushroom hats, which is interesting. It also seems to add a couple of new shops as well, and in the background you can see one of those giant towers and the new towers for this game on the Linairu Mountain. At first glance I thought this was Castle Town, but it actually could be up on the Great Plateau. I'm not 100% sure with this one, but here's a broken fountain and lots of ruined areas that we've seen from Breath of the Wild, but this time there's new Hylian tents, also with supplies once again. That goes back to what I said previous, which might allow us to rebuild some of the locations that have been ruined from Breath of the Wild. And yes, once again, we saw this in the last 10-minute gameplay segment. Kakariko so far seemed to take the biggest hit, as lots of these ring-like structures smack the hills around Kakariko, and if you look down below, some of the houses and part of the village has been ruined as well. And maybe Kakariko is going to turn this into some type of defensive mechanism and maybe build a wall out of it. As you can see, lots of more are laying on the hills, but it looks like this stuff fell down and just kind of crushed the civilization down there. It's pretty unfortunate for them. We then see a giant structure come out of the sand in the Gerudo Desert, and I will once again say I think this could be relating to a dungeon in the game. It just looks like something we've seen from past Zelda games, how the dungeons would appear coming out of the ground. It looks like a giant sand dungeon could be appearing. After all, we know this would be a perfect place to place one, because obviously the Gerudo Desert is a giant empty desert with just a couple of monuments and structures in there right now, so this would just make a lot of sense. Next up, we get a bunch of Hylians watching the debris fall from the Sky Islands, which is very interesting because this game seems to have a big emphasis on the different NPCs around the world. It actually feels full, like there's a lot of people now, and I'll talk about that eventually as well. There's also a little station in order for Link to build different vehicles or whatever he needs to build in that specific area that we've seen in past trailers. We then get our first look at Ganondorf standing in front of a giant blood moon, and we get to see all of its hair, which looks a lot like Demise. Now, the actual Ganondorf that we see in this trailer and the artwork doesn't look like this. In fact, this might be a fully powered up Ganondorf towards the end of the game or during a specific cutscene. And also, bonus fact that I just noticed, as Zelda is falling, you can actually see her start to glow gold, which might be what saves her when she falls. The Gerudo Desert now has malice and tons of debris on it. You can see some of the malice to the top right on top of the hill, but there's obviously also giant sand holes that could take you underground into new underground areas, which would be really cool. Imagine a whole new part of the map that's underneath the Gerudo Desert, which is already a vast area. There's another huge symbol on the back wall on the mountain ranges that we can see, which I still don't know what those mean, and we still don't know what they do. We then see Link in a huge underground lava area with rails and giant structures in the background. Now, I will get back to this again because I do believe, once again, this is some type of dungeon that we get to complete within this game, and it's a big part of the trailer that we see later on where they kind of give us even more hints towards that. But Link is once again wearing the Flame Breaker set, which is a set that returns from the first game, and I don't know how I really feel about that because I kind of wish there was a new lava set, but you know, it is what it is. We get a better look at this later on in the trailer, but Link seems to be on the top of Hebra Peak where it's snowing pretty heavy and there's giant snow airships from the Rito. As you can see bird on the front, but we'll also see Link playing with a bird in a second, or at least training with one. Also, Link is once again wearing the Snow Quill set, which is returning from Breath of the Wild. We then see Link jumping into some spheres of water that have some type of green glowing mechanism in the middle, which I guess allows it to move, and they keep respawning, allowing Link to float all the way to the end of the path up there. But we have never seen Link completely submerged in water and swimming, because he always swims on the top of the water. So does this actually show that Link can now swim underwater? Is this something that they've been hiding for a very long time? Because we don't see Link just immediately shoot to the top. It seems like he's moving around in it for a little bit until it eventually reaches its destination. So I really don't know. We could very well have some type of underwater swimming, or maybe it's just for this, unfortunately. I really hope not. Link then flies down some type of long tunnel tube where he actually has a wingsuit that looks like it was made from the Rito as well. He has to dodge the lasers, but this doesn't look like it's necessarily underground in Hyrule. This looks like this could be related to the Sky Islands. As you'll notice, those little glowing lamps look like the zonai lamps are there. So I don't really know how this is in the sky. There's lots of scenes that have zonai structures that still looks like it's underground in Hyrule. So maybe there's still zonai architecture down underground within Hyrule, and not every single scene has to be in the sky if we see something zonai. We then see Link in some giant structure moving some type of cogwheel which turns the outside of the structure. Now I think he's in this giant structure orb that we'll see in a second, and I'll come back to this scene. But in the background we get to see this giant glass ball full of smaller green/blue balls. Now, I'm not 100% sure what this does, but it does look like the same little orb devices that were in the spheres of water, so maybe Link can throw one of these in order to spawn a sphere of water for him to swim inside. We then see Link flying in some type of tight alleyway, which also looks like it could very well be a new type of dungeon, which is still really hard to tell right now, but if you'll notice, there's little blue specks and orbs flying everywhere, which could be a new shrine that Link is actually in and completing. We see Link pulling up on his horse with a new zonai spear in his hand. And Link is fighting alongside not just one or two NPCs, but multiple other NPCs that seem to be having their own little battle together. It seems to just be Highlands and farmers and anybody nearby that just picked up random things in order to take to the fight. They've had enough, and it looks like they're standing up to Ganon finally with Link. Link is not alone in this battle, and I love that. It seems like there will be more bigger scenes where you get to join together with tons of NPCs in order to take on little battles, which would be really cool. We then see an elevator take Link up somewhere, which could be one of the brand new Sheikah Towers, as we finally see that blue glow that we're used to in Breath of the Wild, and some type of coil device on Link's chest that we actually seen in a past trailer where the Guardian Arms came out and hooked something on Link, it looks like. Now we get a scene of some beat up new creature who seems to be pretty upset or angry about something that they've just accomplished. And it looks like something happened to this creature that really was a massive event in the story. Now I actually believe that this creature was leaked in that art book leak, and it was cleaned up completely and looked a little bit different than this. So my theory is that this might be a scene that actually happened a long time ago, like a flashback scene. Let me explain. Now the figure on the left looks like some type of Rito. You can see the talon and the great eagle bow in their hands, which is interesting. Then the figure on the right looks like it's some type of Gerudo warrior with their sword in their hand as well. And you can tell by her sword that it's getting corrupted by something. It's getting that same look that Link's sword had, and same with the bow in the back left. Something is corrupting their weapons, and it looks like they just finished a battle with whoever this creature is in the middle. Now they all seem to be on the same side, facing something that's in front of them. My theory is that these are not the old champions, these are not the new champions, but instead these are the very old champions, very far back when they actually sealed Ganondorf in the first place. This might be the scene where Ganondorf gets placed in that cave and sealed away, which would be really cool to see exactly what happened to Ganondorf. This could be the very same cave that we see Link and Zelda actually be the ones that seem to awaken Ganondorf within this game. Remember, there was a great battle even before the events before Breath of the Wild, so there's still stories about that time that we have to hear about, and maybe there were ancient champions as well. So this could just be a flashback scene as to what happened with the great battle against the past champions and Ganondorf and how he got sealed in the first place. Something else to notice is that the creature seems to have some type of third eyeball. You can actually see it's an eyeball with a lid shut, so maybe that eye opens and maybe it's kind of what caused the Sheikah technology to be a thing, because it almost looks like the Sheikah eye as well. It would also make sense that that was a flashback, because one of the next scenes we get is Link in a clean, normal-looking Hyrule castle in a pre-calamity state, which could also be another flashback as to what happened a long time ago. The look of this scene also gives me vibes of that grayed out, washed out look from Hyrule Castle in Wind Waker. We then get to see Zelda in her new garb, and she's lowering some gate to get outside, it looks like at the Sky Islands. But what's interesting about her in this game is she doesn't seem to be in trouble. In fact, she seems to be doing her own job in order to help Link down below. So maybe she's actually able to be interact with and met up with throughout the game, maybe even played with eventually, but I would love to see Zelda with more of a role in this game, which is great, and it looks like she's going to have duties and jobs to fulfill in this game instead of just being in the castle the whole time, which is pretty cool, because it's something that she also did in Skyward Sword as her and Impa went around trying to also help Link throughout his adventure, but we never really got to see what she did outside of like the post-credit scenes of her walking with Impa, so I would love to actually follow her story as well, along with Link's also. We then see Link pulling the Master Sword out of the pedestal in the Korok Forest, which is weird because it's one of the few locations that was missing from every single trailer so far. We haven't seen the Great Deku Tree, and we haven't seen that forest either, which is weird, but it seems to be in this scene, which might also make me believe that this could be a flashback, or maybe this is how Link regains the energy back into his sword by just putting it back in the pedestal, which would seem a little too easy, but who knows. We then see Zelda speaking to some new figure with dragon arms and claws, which very much well be some type of king of the zonai or leader of the zonai, as he tells Zelda that he needs Link's help and that Link is going to be the first line of defense for him, but she also has her own roles to play in this as well. Something also that's very interesting is she has a golden tear on her necklace, which is probably going to play into the role of us collecting tears of the kingdom. We can see Satori Mountain in the background of the scene with the giant cherry blossom tree still, which is nice to know that that's still intact. We then see a giant muscular zonai robot come out of the wall, which seems to be a boss fight, which once again could just be training Link, but if they really are training Link with all these zonai constructs, they are trying to kill the guy, because some of these look insane, like this robot here. You can actually look closely, and the face is some type of like mask, which actually reminds me a lot of the mask that we see on the brand new Zonai creature's chest, which also looks a lot like Godan, the boss from the Tower of the Gods in Wind Waker, which is very interesting because that boss was also training Link as well in order to get light arrows, and it also had the same color scheme with that light green neon blue that was also shining through, which is very interesting and probably a video in and of itself. This battle seems to be in a very, very dark room, and it seems to be underground as we can see some roots coming from the ceiling and some spores flying around the room. We then see a scene of Link on that flying bird device again, which is probably just a new way to traverse the sky this time since there's islands everywhere. I don't know if this is like a crafting thing or just one of the things that you can get and just summon whenever, just like the Master Cycle 0. Link has a sword with a shield on it in this scene. Yes, the Royal Sword and Shield combo. This is crazy. He actually parries by, I guess, just swinging his sword. So, does it do damage? Is it just defense? This is crazy. How? Why? I don't care. It's just awesome. I'll go back to when Link was spinning the cog inside some structure. It's probably this giant orb floating in the sky. Exactly what does it do? I don't know. And I think that's one of the bigger questions is what are a lot of these little puzzles and stuff in the Sky Islands for? What does it lead to? What's the point? I think that's going to be a lot of fun to kind of uncover and figure out. Now, if you look in the background, there seems to be some water falling from the Sky Island down to the East Reservoir Lake right by Zora's domain. But it could actually be something else, and once again, you're going to have to wait a little bit until we get to that scene, because I think it is something else. In this scene, Link has a new stone/boulder smasher with horns at the end, probably a new weapon that he crafted in order to make the smasher stronger. But if you look closely, he's actually fighting some type of creature, which at first I thought was a Goron, but I'm not entirely sure, because the ball form just doesn't look like a Goron. It looks like something else. If you look in the background, it also looks like some baby Gorons or little Gorons are watching, but it's really hard to say right now. Whatever it is has a fire trail behind it and goes up on the wall for a second, and it's a different color than most Goron. But I still think it could be maybe like a Goron training scene where Link has to defeat the Goron in order to receive something. It's impossible to say right now. But you can also see those red stones all over the wall that we've seen in past trailers around Death Mountain, and maybe it's what's actually causing all the malice to spew out of the top of Elden Volcano. We then go back to the airship scene in the Hebra region, and we can see that Link and some child Rito is bouncing off of the canopies from that ship and flying upward into the air. And that child Rito could very well be Tulin, which is the son of Teba. Now remember, Teba always was injured from his past battles and always had a hurt wing, and maybe he put the heroing away for a while, and actually his son is going to be one of the new champions now. You can also see a green glow around Tulin, and I think there's a reason why this glow is here. Once again, you have to wait until later. I'm sorry. Here you can see Link actually crafted a carriage in order to take these Highlands somewhere to their destination, which is pretty cool, which probably means you're going to be doing different side quests, building different things in order to travel and take people, you know, around. Like, I guess you're playing Uber Zelda right now, and you're like Taxi Link or something. Here we can see Link reverse time to hit the Octorok with his own rock, but if you look over towards the right, you can see a new cave network and a little mine shaft area where you get to go inside of the mountain, which, like I said, is going to be probably one of the massive new changes with this world, as being able to go underground and deep within caves. Here's a super weird one. Link has some type of zonai rocket attached to his shield, which allows him to fly up in the air. Could you imagine if you could attach it to a weapon and just let it launch towards an enemy or something, like you're actually shooting a missile at somebody that has a giant sword attached to it? That's freaking amazing, but I'm pretty sure it probably just launches you up in the air before it kind of goes out, allowing you to fly down on top of enemies, and it kind of probably works as the new Rivali's Gale, which would be pretty cool, just to attach a rocket, shoot up in the air real quick, and you just maybe wait for it to recharge instead of having to wait, you know, multiple amount of times in order for Rivali's Gale to recharge. And there seems to be some type of new box with a new logo on it that seems to be a dolphin. Is Isle Delfino in this game? We can then see Link use some type of zero gravity jump in order to reach these platforms, and what's interesting about this is I don't know if this is just a specific thing for this area, or is this a new ability that Link can use and just jump like this, because it looks like it makes his jumping a lot better than his short little, you know, terrible one from Breath of the Wild. Because what would be causing him to do this? He was doing this in the area down below with the water bubbles. Is this a thing that he can only do in the sky? Is this some type of specific, you know, ability or device or shoes that he gets? I don't know, but I love this jump, and it definitely makes Link control a lot better for sure. We can once again see the Elden Volcano spewing out malice still, which once again could be due to those red rocks everywhere. But another theory I had, crazy one, what if this is where Ganondorf actually comes out of? Or maybe where he's charging up some type of massive monster to attack Hyrule or something. I definitely think it has something to do with Ganondorf's plan in the story. We just have to wait and find out. Now it looks like Link is making his way up to some giant waterfall that's actually falling from another sky island above this one, which just keeps going higher. But something interesting is this black goop that's pouring down from the top of this island down to the islands below, and it just keeps on dripping all the way down. This very well might be that same goop that we saw dropping all the way down into that water reservoir down below right by Zora's domain. Well, what is this goop and what's causing it? Well, once again, you're gonna have to wait a little while longer. We then go to a scene where Link is in a minecart fighting a new zonai construct with a bigger headpiece in a minecart as well, which is a pretty cool scene. The cart has a fan dial in the back in order for it to move that we've seen Link use in crafting already, and this area is very, very detailed and massive for an underground area. I'm even going as far as to say that this could very well be, yep, you guessed it, another dungeon, and this seems to be within Death Mountain. We can also see those giant red rocks again in the background that only have been appearing at Death Mountain. This seems like just a fully fleshed out area, and you can even see that this is underground by seeing some of the foliage and stuff in the background far off over there, which just shows that maybe these underground areas are 10 times bigger than we think. We then see Link pulling up on a stone talus with his own like robot creation, which is crazy. It seems to be made out of different concrete plates and slabs that are stick together in order to make the body. We see 4 giant wheels on the base, and also looks like it might have 2 arms. We see the one on the right, and it has some type of glowing spear or sword on the end of it, which looks like it could either fire or maybe just stab things. How are we going to control this? How do we fight with this? How does this work? I have so many questions, but this is crazy. So the stone talus has been turned into like an enemy camp as well in this game, but what's so great about this that I've noticed is that it looks like it's just walking around the map now. Like these are just going to be walking around, you can see them from far away, which is just super exciting as well. Although we did see the one in the past trailer just get up and start walking, unfortunately. So I don't know if some of them are going to be able to walk around the map all times, or they're just going to pop up when you get near them like always. Link also seems to be wearing a new zonai set of gear in this scene. Link fuses a new ruby arrow in this scene where I don't know what this is going to do. It's kind of glowing as well, almost like it's going to have a fire or an explosive effect, which once again makes me wonder, can you combine elemental arrows with also new fuses? For instance, can I make a fire ruby arrow or an ice ruby arrow? I don't know, but at the end of the day, he's about to fire a ruby arrow at something. I would also expect it to do a ton of damage, because why would you waste a ruby for an arrow, unless it would be like an extreme amount of damage, because that is very precious materials. We see Link also wearing another new set with horns on it, this time kind of looking like the Phantom Ganon set we got in the DLC of the first game. We then see a giant zonai machine stuck on top of the enemy camp. When Link shoots it, it shoots all of these lasers around, probably damaging all the nearby enemies, which is pretty cool. Maybe Link can actually use this in order to build it on his own contraption, like for instance put it on that robot where he has a massive laser weapon on the top or something. I don't know. Now there's a bokoblin in the back of the camp that has a backpack full of some type of yellow substance. I don't know if these are jars or something. It almost looks like choo-choo jellies, like yellow choo-choo jellies, but it's impossible to tell from this scene, but you can see it bouncing up and down as he's running away from the lasers. In this scene, it looks like Link is wearing some type of new ice set, flying in the air with Tulin, and that's it for this scene. Next, we have Zelda holding, I'm just playing, obviously we're going back. A giant flying ice monster slash Leviathan comes out of some ice wormhole in the sky in order to attack Link and Tulin, and this is just crazy. I mean, seriously, I have no clue what this is. It gives me a little bit of the vibes of Goma from Wind Waker, but like an ice version, but it's flying towards Link and Tulin in the air, which could be the reason why they're jumping off of these sky canopies in order to take out whatever this creature is. Maybe this creature is causing it to snow uncontrollably and cause a giant storm to mess with the Rito, so Link and Tulin are tasked to attack this thing. Okay, now we can move to Zelda. Zelda seems to be holding that tear that she had as her necklace, and she needs Link to maybe collect 7 of these, because we also see another character with this in a few minutes, but we also remember seeing that opening scene of whatever that creature was with 7 of these tears around them, so maybe these are the tears of the kingdom that Link has to collect. Once again, that creature looks like the same one we saw in that flashback scene, or what I thought was a flashback scene. Skeletal Ganondorf is then shown for a brief second when he shoots up some type of malice beam up towards the ceiling where it looks like it crashes, but I actually think this is a cut where it goes through the ground and is actually outside, as you can see some clouds where it creates some type of dome or something around the surrounding area. Not sure what this is, which once again is why I kind of have this theory that maybe this beam has something to do with Death Mountain. Maybe this actually took place under Death Mountain and not necessarily underneath Hyrule Castle, or something is happening at Death Mountain. It's just weird that it's one of the only locations on the map outside of Hyrule Castle that has spewing malice. Lionel's return in this game, and of course, just like the other moblins and bokoblins and other enemies in this game, they have giant horns that you could probably use as weapon fusing once you defeat them. This scene is probably the very beginning of the game where Link actually gets his arm corrupted and the Master Sword breaks as well. Ganondorf is shown off and looks absolutely amazing, but he seems to be somewhere along the Great Plateau maybe. I can't tell if this is actually in Hyrule Castle or not, but this might be the scene where he's actually turning back into his normal self after, I guess you could say, rehydrating. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure where he's at, and maybe some of you that know the map even better than me can figure this out. This is Ganondorf down to the T. He even has his little forehead piece, the same colored skin he does in the past games, and his robes and garb, and he even has a little ponytail this time, which is pretty cool because now he really looks like he fits in with the Gerudo from this game. Look, it's been since Twilight Princess since the last time we saw Ganondorf, and he looks amazing. You can even see in this character art, he actually has a little blade or sword in his left hand. It's hard to make out how long it is, if it's like a giant one or something, but it's been so long, it's great to see him back. I mean, yes, we've had him in Hyrule Warriors, but I mean, come on, this is different. Next up, remember all that goop I was talking about earlier that seemed to be dripping from the Sky Islands? It could be coming from this monstrosity. It seems to be some type of giant shark or weird tar or oil shark that's been dripping all this stuff down and maybe corrupting the Sky Islands below it and even part of Hyrule since it drops all the way down into that lake. Something that's very interesting about this creature is it's one of the only creatures we've seen in these Sky Islands that are not zonai constructs. I think the only other one we saw was a blue choo-choo, but this creature actually glows with a pink/purple glow. This doesn't look like it's from Malice, and it doesn't look like it's from the zonai. So what the heck is this from? We've never really seen this purple color within any of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom's trailers, so this is definitely curious. Could there actually be a third power or enemy to worry about in this game, or is this just simply another Ganondorf enemy that he's conjured up and it just has a purple glow? It then looks like Link and 10doland are flying in to get ready to battle that giant ice monster thing, which is very interesting because maybe it's kind of mimicking Breath of the Wild. Remember, you use the champions in order to help you take out the divine beast, so maybe it's kind of a situation here where you're using the new champions help you take out some of these monsters that are in the overworld now, which would be really cool. We then see some magical female character that has that golden tier necklace as well, and it seems to be drawing power from that necklace into her hand. Now, what's very interesting about this character is she seems to have the same powers that Zelda does, and one of the only characters that we ever see that has some of these goddess-like powers, as she uses this yellow beam in order to wipe out an army of Molduga within the Gerudo Desert. And if you'll notice, she's actually standing on some type of sky platform that's just above Hyrule, so she's not all the way up in the sky. She seems to be kind of interacting with the story somehow here. Now, she looks very familiar to Zelda here. They have similar headpieces and designs around their eyes with the same necklace, and they're both the only creatures/characters that we've seen so far hold this yellow tier. So are they the same person? Are they descendants or something? Maybe this could be some type of descendant or have a relation with the goddess. I don't know. I personally think this could even be Zelda as she's leveling up and getting stronger and gaining power. As you can see, she starts with one eye drop below her eye and then gains multiple. Lots of her necklace and bracelets match up perfectly. Her earrings, everything, the little tiara on her forehead. I mean, this could just be maybe Zelda slowly transforming into the goddess for the first time ever seen in Zelda in a physical manifestation, which would be insane. We see a scene of Riju using electric attacks with her swords, and she obviously looks a lot older here with a new haircut and style as well. She definitely has grown up a little bit. And I think this whole section was a compilation of just Link working with others. This isn't Link by himself like in Breath of the Wild. This time, he's got a crew. He's got people to help him with. He's got champions that are actually there with him this time around. He is not alone. It's going to take the entirety of Hyrule in order to help save the day, which is awesome because it once again shows Link with tons of Hylians, a Goron, and even a Gerudo in the background getting ready, it looked like, to take on an enemy camp or something. Even some of them just threw whatever they had in their hands and on their head, like one's wearing a bucket as his helmet. So they're just ready to help Link in any way that they can, and I love, and I'm telling you right now, I love this because it shows that Link isn't the only brave one here. Hyrule is actually a kingdom, it's a people, and everyone's standing up against Ganondorf this time around, from every culture as well. We then see another combination thing with Link and Sidon fighting a new zonai construct type together, but on the Sky Islands that also kind of looks like a bit of the Zora domain. It's kind of hard to tell where exactly they are. Is some of it up in the sky or some of the pieces just in the sky around Zora's domain? I don't know, but it looks like they're both defending this area together. This also shows off how there's going to be compatibility with both characters, and if you look closely, Sidon actually has a green glow to him the same way 10doland does in every single shot that Link is with him, which makes me think that maybe you can just call these in. Maybe these are the new champion abilities. Instead of just giving Link some ability, they actually get to just pop in. Link can call them in with some new power, and they can help fight alongside of him, which would be so cool. And it looks like there's a scene where Link is in trouble, and Riju, Sidon, and 10doland have to all help Link somehow. And I love this. This is actually giving it real cutscenes this time instead of just all flashbacks with these new champions. The only question is, where the heck is Unobo? Like, did he just vanish? Is there a problem? Is he captured somewhere? Like, what's going on with him? But also notice on Sidon's hand, he has a blue tear. Yep, and there's some more to go along with this and the rest of the champions. I'll just have to talk more about it at the end of this video. But hold on one second, after super detailed look at the analysis, I noticed something very interesting. Yep, look between the characters here. That's a boulder breaker. Yeah, so that's probably Unobo running behind them. They just haven't shown him off yet. Maybe he has a new look or something that they just didn't want to show him, but whatever. It looks like all the champions are here. Link then pulls up on a three-headed Gleeok-like dragon with some crazy new blade that looks like to be made out of crystals or something. It reminds me of the Fierce Deity blade, but he pulls it out and getting ready to fight. I cannot wait to see what that thing does. But of course, we can see this Gleeok creature with his giant fiery 3 heads and 3 giant beady eyeballs as well. This is one creepy beast, and man, this is probably going to be the new Lionel of this game, because this is terrifying. And at the end of the trailer, for some reason, Zelda is the one holding the Master Sword. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's talking to her, because we know Fi is technically still in it, so maybe she's hearing something from the Master Sword, or maybe getting ready to complete her ritual in order to turn back into the goddess like we speculated earlier. She also states in the trailer and speaks that she needs Link to find her, but I'm like, what does she mean find her? She doesn't ever seem to be anywhere too far. Like, the sky platforms that she's always on seem to be right above the ground. Also, just want to point out, this sky platform looks very familiar to the one that we saw the other female character was on when she shot the Moldugas down. Just saying, probably the same character. We then get to see some tapestry at the end of the trailer of Ganondorf and his army charging into battle, which could be retelling this story when Ganondorf actually took over a long time ago, which might also tie into maybe those potential cutscenes we saw earlier as well. But there's 2 more secrets that I want to share with you before closing out. The first one is a musical one. So there's different pieces of actually Ganondorf's theme playing throughout the trailer, the original Legend of Zelda theme, and Breath of the Wild themes as well. Here's those themes in respective order. Finally, something that I just saw that GameXplain actually just covered on YouTube is something that is very interesting, and it's the name of the game. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, throughout this entire video, I've been showing you some of the tiers, but there's actually 5 in total that we've seen throughout this entire trailer, and I can tell you them right now. There's the yellow one that belongs to Zelda and that other girl that we see. That's why I still think it's the same person. There's a red one that you can briefly see on Ganondorf's head bracelet. There's an orange one as Riju's earring. You can see a blue one on the back of Sidon's hand, and you can see a green one on 10doland's bow. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. Now that leaves 2 more if there are 7 in total, just like that tapestry showed. So that leaves Unobo, which we don't know what color that he has, and then that maybe leaves the last one for Link, which would make a lot of sense. That way, you know, Zelda and Ganondorf already have one, Link should have one as well, and maybe that's the very last one he finds. I thought I'd also mention that every single tier has a symbol on it, like Sidon's has almost like a Sheikah eye to it. And this also could be tied to the sages from Ocarina of Time, so maybe we're still going to get a purple stone. But remember, in Ocarina of Time, there was only 6 technically, so I don't know. I guess you can add 7 based on The Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds, where there were 7 in that game. But yeah, maybe there's some type of tie-in and connection with that, or maybe they're just telling their own story, that's kind of reminiscing on that. So now I guess it explains why they wanted to wait to give us the title, because maybe these tiers mean a whole lot. Like maybe we gotta find them in dungeons, you know, and collect them, and they have some type of storyline tie-in to the rest of the games or something. But yes, that was 92 insane facts throughout the final trailer for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Guys, we are under a month away. We are just mere weeks away until this game drops, and it is going to be so exciting. Finally, we got a trailer to really dive us into this game. I can't believe it took them down to like 28 days until the game comes out to show us these things, but I'm glad they finally did, and the game is finally looking as fleshed out as I was hoping it would. Of course, the overworld still probably hides secrets. That's still one of these small things and small gripes I still have. I would love to see kind of what else is changing with the overworld, but that's for us to explore, and I completely understand that. I can't wait to dive into this game, but let me know how you guys feel down below about this, and please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. This video took a very long time to put together because there were so many small details and facts, but let me know if I missed anything else that you have found down below, and I will see you all on the next one. See you guys.